Do I really need to look for ABA therapy to help my teen who has ADHD? Now, ABA is an approach that looks at how to train children to respond a certain way in hopefully in positive ways, but there is a space for it, and there's also a place not to use it. And there are some things that you can put in place that actually make a huge difference that don't require you to look at ABA therapy or a variety of other different approaches. You can do this actually in your own home. Now, I'm Ivan Hardcastle. I am an occupational therapist, but I am an online parent coach, which means that you can come to me and I can help you in the moment of to help you navigate your children, your child who has ADHD, your teen that you are struggling with, the peace that you are trying to find within yourself and within your home so that you can thrive. But today we are talking about ABA therapy and different approaches that you can look at. Now, to understand, if you're not familiar with ABA, or if you think that you are, you might have some misconceptions about what it is. Really, it is looking at using positive reward to change behavior. We do something, we want to be more socially appropriate, we want to be more emotionally appropriate in our interactions, and we're using some sort of a reward. Maybe it's a break, maybe it's a toy, maybe it's something else to reinforce the behavior so that it happens again and again. Now, this is fine if you have the end goal in mind, which is to create independence. And this is where I think sometimes people get confused. Now, behaviorally, when we're looking at psychology of behavior, yes, initially behavior does come from an outside source. And this is called an external locus of control. It's being controlled by somebody on the outside. But this is not where we want to end up. We want an internal locus of control. We want the child to be able to just choose innately of themselves. And you can look at this in adults. You can do a simple test just by going to the grocery store and sitting there and watching. There are people who get done grocery shopping, they go out, they put the groceries in their car, and then there's nothing attached to a reward for returning a cart back to the cart rack or back into the store, wherever it needs to go. There's nothing that says that people have to do that. You can just simply leave your cart there, but there are people who will take it back, and there are people who will not take it back. And those people, it's all based on what is internal, what they are choosing, what they feel is the best thing for them to do. And this is what we want for children who are struggling, and especially when they have ADHD, we want them to have the drive coming from inside them. Now, as a parent, we sometimes struggle with this. When our children are very little, we are doing everything for them. We are providing all the outside things so that they can thrive, and we feel like we are being successful because we tell them to do something and then they do it. And it's a I have the power and you have the response type of relationship. But that's not where it should stay. If we go through the terrible twos, the terrible threes, which really aren't terrible, it's more about the child is learning independence. And so, of course, they're going to go against this system of mom, dad says what I should do, and I have to respond immediately and correctly according to them. It's about testing boundaries and really learning what is meaningful to me and how can I create my own desires and my own independence. And that simply continues to grow. Part of it is that the child learns better ways to express themselves so they come out of these terrible twos, terrible threes that we consider are terrible. And part of it is that really as parents, we begin to learn ourselves and we start to adapt so that both of us are coming together and learning how to create independence in our children. Now, then we get to teenage years and this goofy stuff happens. There's these changes in hormones, there's changes in thoughts, and we have this growth pattern that goes woof. And the teenage mind wants to be independent, wants to create an identity for themselves, wants to be separate from the family, wants to figure out who they are, and is starting this process of entering adulthood, and it lasts for years. And so then we think of it as teenage angst, we think of it as rebellion, we think of it as withdrawal, but it doesn't have to be. The challenge comes in is that we as parents need to learn how to adapt as well. We get fixated in this idea of control. I still want to control things. And if I don't control things, I am afraid of what is going to happen. What if my teen chooses to do this, or they get into this type of a trouble, or they're not doing their homework, and so then they're going to have this result? And we need to take a step back, because the more that we compress and the more that we seek to control, the less our teens are able to develop that internal sense of self. Everything becomes external. And I'm going to pick on some cousins of mine growing up. This was years ago, and I'm not going to say which cousins they were, but they had a dad who was very demanding and very controlling, in so much that I didn't really like to go to their house even, because I could not stand this guy because of how much he tried to control everything, at least from my perception, but I could also see it in his kids. That house was very controlled. All the chores got done. It was very neat. They still had fun. It was a loving family, but the dad was very controlling. Now, most of the kids, not all the kids, but I watched as most of the kids grew up and moved out. They had all this external control placed upon them, and they did not develop the internal control. So when they left the house, dad was no longer there to tell them what to do and to order them around. So then they expanded really quickly without any supports, without any direction of where to go. And guess what? Most of them got into some trouble one way or another. They all had difficulties. And whether it was in marriage or job or social interactions or whatever it was, they had difficulties, and then they slowly came back together. And I don't know about you, that's not what I want my kids to go through. I would rather be there to support and guide them when they're still in my house, so that when things happen, they have a support system. And that helps develop that internal locus of control, or that desire. This is the returning the shopping cart to the shopping place in the parking lot or back into the store simply because you want to and you feel it's right and you feel like this is the right thing to do. Not because anybody is telling you to do it, but just because you feel it's right. Hey, I want to do my homework because I feel it's right. I want to follow through with my chores because I want to add to the family and I feel like that is right. We can help our children as parents develop that internal sense of control by letting go. This is so hard to do. Letting go of that desire that we think we need to be in control all the time. Now, this can be really hard, because if you are used to this and you think that your child is super rebellious and you are struggling with them, and as soon as you let go of that control, what's going to happen? They're going to expand. They're going to want more independence. There's going to be some rebellion. There's going to be some drop in function. Their chores are not going to be done. Homework's not going to be done. And that is okay, because you need to understand that their nervous system is resetting. The brain is resetting, and continue to be there. Pull back, but be present and be connected emotionally and supportive and be a guide, so that they can develop that internal sense, and it will come back. Our relationships with our children are much more important than trying to control them. So again, when you are looking at ABA therapy, if you're thinking, hey, this is what my child needs, I urge you to pause. I urge you to stop and reflect back on yourself. What is it that you are wanting from your child? Do you want them to develop that internal sense of control? Or are you trying to exert external control on them? And how are you doing as a parent? Now, if this strikes a chord with you, if something in what I said turned on a light bulb and you went, oh, but Ivan, how do I do that? How do I apply that to me? This is when you reach out. Subscribe to my channel, share this video, share this information with those around you who could use it, but reach out to me. Send me a message, click on the link below in my bio, so that we can connect and I can tell you what parent coaching can do for you to fast track your success and help you on your way so that you and your child are doing well.